Dear students, welcome back to my class. In the last class, we have completed F block elements. Now, in this class, we will be starting the chapter that is, we'll be dealing with metal carbonyls. We'll be discussing properties of and preparations and properties of some of the metal carbonyls. First, let us see what are the objectives and what are the contents in this chapter that we will be going to study. In this chapter, we will be going to study first the definition of metal carbonyls, preparation, and properties of nickel tetracarbonyl. And we will also be discussing few structural features of few metal carbonyls such as nickel tetracarbonyl, tetracarbonyl nickel, tetracarbonyl iron, and also few of the binuclear complexes and trinuclear complexes also, like iron and chromium. Okay. Next, we will be studying EAN as well as 18 valence electron rule also in this chapter. Okay. Now let us see the definition of transition metal complexes or metal carbonyls. So what are metal carbonyls? The name itself indicates it has metal and carbonyl. What it is having? It has a metal and carbonyls. Here, see here, the main name itself indicates metal. Carbonyls means it is having metal and carbonyls. And which type of metals forms these compounds? Mostly the transition metals forms these metal carbonyls. So what is another compound? What is another element? It is having metal. It is having metal. What is other element? Carbonyl. Carbonyl is here carbon monoxide. So metal carbonyls are the transition metal complexes of carbon monoxide containing metal carbon bond. So metal means transition metals. What is carbonyl? Carbonyl is here is carbon monoxide. So therefore the compounds which are having this type of bonds, especially metal carbon bond, where this carbon bond is from carbon monoxide, such type of complexes are known as metal carbonyls. Now we all know the structure of carbon monoxide. Okay, in carbon monoxide, if you see the structure, I think you all know the structure of carbon monoxide. If you do not know, just write it on a paper. Okay, just write it on a paper, the structure of carbon monoxide. This is your homework. Okay, first write the structure of carbon monoxide. So if you see the structure of carbon monoxide, there are lone pair of electrons available on both carbon as well as oxygen. However, as the carbon atom donates electrons to the central metal, these complexes are known as carbonyls. So in the year 1868, Schuzenberger first recognized such type of compounds, recognized carbon monoxide as a ligand in his preparation and characterization of this complex. What is this complex? Dichloro-dicarbonyl platinum. So during his discovery in this compound, he found that CO, that is carbonyl, CO is carbon monoxide, is a ligand. We will see what is a ligand also. But the first metal carbonyl compound which was discovered is this one, nickel, and therefore carbon monoxide here, molecules. So the name of this compound, how do you name? We have to name the first carbonyl, that is a ligand. This is known as ligand. This is central metal. Okay. The first atom which is there in the square bracket is a central metal atom. Okay. Then afterwards, whatever is there, those are ligands. Here central metal atom is nickel. As I already told you, this type of compounds are formed by transition metals. What is this? Nickel is a transition metal? Yes, nickel is a 3D transition element. And what are the rest elements here? These are carbon monoxide molecules are there. How many carbon monoxide molecules are there? 4. And nickel is forming bond with carbon of carbon monoxide. Therefore, this is known as nickel carbonyl. How many carbon monoxide molecules are there? 4. So we have to use tetra carbonyl nickel. Okay, tetra carbonyl nickel. This is how you have to name these metal carbonyls. So this tetracarbonyl nickel is the first metal carbonyl discovered in 1890 by Maud Ludwig. This is a special molecule. Now let us see what is metal and what is ligand. Metal means, I have already told you, metal here we will refer is transition element. Any transition element. I have written here 3D elements, some of the 3D elements here: scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, copper. These are the few transition, these are the 3D transition elements which I have written here. Mostly metal carbonyls, that is this chapter, for these elements, that is 3D series elements, they form this type of metal carbonyls. And what is ligand means, what the carbonyl with which a metal form is forming a bond is known as ligand here. We'll see what is ligand. Ligand is any Lewis base, and the main requirement of this ligand is it should have a lone pair of electron. That can be one or more than one. What is the main requirement of a ligand? It should have a lone pair of electrons. Okay. Okay, that is a Lewis base. Lewis bases are also known as ligands are Lewis bases. They should have a lone pair of electron, and this can be donated to the central metal. What is a central metal? Any transition metal like scandium, I have written here, central metal. Most often these involves a donor atom with a lone pair of electrons that can form coordinate bond to the metal. Okay. These ligands which are having electron pair, they will donate this electron pair to the central metal atom. What is the central metal atom? Any transition element which contains empty d orbital and forms a coordinate bond. This we will discuss in detail again. So now let us see the definition. Again, transition metal complexes of carbon monoxide containing metal carbon bond are known as metal carbonyls. Okay. What is metal? Metals are any transition element. And what is carbon monoxide here? Carbon monoxide is a ligand which contains a lone pair of electron, and this lone pair of electron is donated to the center metal atom, that is transition metal. Few examples of ligands I have written here: water and ammonia. If you say water molecule, how many lone pair of electrons it is having? 2 lone pairs. We all know that these are 2 lone pairs. And how many lone pair of electrons does ammonia have? 1. Okay, ammonia is having 1 lone pair. Since they are having lone pair of electrons, they act as a ligand. They can donate these lone pair of electrons to the transition metals. So when these ligands donate these lone pair of electrons, we all should remember that when they donate a lone pair of electrons, there should be some vacancy. Okay, there should be some vacancy here. Vacancy where? In their orbitals, outermost orbitals. What are the outermost orbitals in transition elements? We all know. What is the outermost electronic configuration? 3d and 4s are the outermost shells. So there should be vacancy in the 3d orbitals here in the metal in order to accept this lone pair. For example, let us see a few examples of metal carbonyls. Here I have written tetracarbonyl nickel. And how do you name this? I have already told you how to name this. First, you have to name the number of ligands here. What is the ligand and what is the central atom, metal atom here? In this case, this is vanadium. See, this is vanadium. This is a transition metal. Okay, this is vanadium. And what is this is a metal. Okay, what is a carbonyl? CO. What is the ligand here? Carbon monoxide. And how many carbon monoxide molecules are there? 6. How do you mention 6? Hexa. Okay, hexa carbonyl vanadium. This is the name of this complex. Hexa carbonyl vanadium. Okay. So in metal carbonyls, we will be seeing two types of bonds. One is sigma bond, another one is pi bond. We will be studying how they are formed. Okay. The metal ligand interactions are mostly pi-acidic type. Now, first let us see the classification of metal carbonyls. These are mainly classified based on the number of metal atoms. Okay. These are mainly classified based on the metal atoms. For example, they are classified into mononuclear complexes and polynuclear complexes. If you see here, in mononuclear complexes, these compounds contain only one metal atom. Okay, only one metal atom. See here, in these examples, can you see what is the metal atom here? Nickel. How many metal atoms are there? Only one. And what is the other atom here? What is the other molecule? There is carbon monoxide. Carbon monoxide, is it a metal? No, that is not a metal. That is a ligand. So we have only one metal here, nickel. Okay, here how many metal atoms are there? Vanadium, only vanadium. And rest molecules are carbon monoxide molecules, which are ligands. Here, iron is the only one molecule here, one metal atom here. And how many ligands are there? Ligands, what is a ligand? Carbon monoxide. How many carbon monoxide ligand molecules are there? 5. So what is the name of this compound? Pentacarbonyl iron. And here chromium. Okay, chromium is the metal atom, that is only one. And how many carbonyls are there? 6. Hexacarbonyl chromium. So since in all these complexes, these are also known as complexes. Okay, complexes. In all these compounds, since only one central metal atom is there, we call these compounds as mononuclear compounds or mononuclear metal carbonyls. What we will call them? Mononuclear metal carbonyls or mononuclear complexes. And what is polynuclear carbonyl? Polynuclear, the name itself indicates here. Poly means more than one. Okay, poly means more than one. These contain 2 or more metallic atoms. 2 or more metal atoms. Then they are indicated with a general formula MXCOY. Okay, MX, where X is the number of metal atoms, Y is the number of carbonyls. X should be more than 1, greater than 1. Okay. And in these complexes, sometimes this carbonyl, that is a ligand here, sometimes it exists as a bridge carbonyl. Sometimes it exists as a bridge carbonyl. For example, I have given one example here, iron 3, carbonyl 12. So this is one example here. If you see this molecule here, this compound here, how many iron atoms are there? How many elements, how many metals are there? 3. Okay, iron is a metal, and the rest these molecules are ligands. Okay, how many ligands are there? 12. And how many metal atoms are there? 3. Since they are more than one, therefore this comes under polynuclear metal carbonyl. Okay, polynuclear metal carbonyl. Now let us see the preparation. These can be directly prepared by, so if you see there are two mostly used methods. The one is direct combination and the other one is reductive carbonylation. Nickel carbonyl can be prepared directly, okay, by adding carbon monoxide in the presence by adding carbon monoxide and to the finely divided metal. For example, see here, if we add carbon monoxide directly to the metal which is finely divided at by using certain conditions like 30 degrees centigrade and 1 atmosphere, we can prepare a tetracarbonyl nickel. And also we can also prepare pentacarbonyl iron also by adding carbon monoxide directly to the iron metal. Other method is reductive carbonylation, okay, by adding carbon monoxide and adding copper at 200 degrees centigrade to 200 atmosphere, we can prepare these type of compounds. Okay, this type of compounds. L means here liquid. It is in liquid state. Now let us see the preparation of some of the dinuclear complexes. These can be prepared from mononuclear carbonyls. For example, I have given here the preparation of 2 dinuclear complexes. When a cold solution of monocarbonyls like pentacarbonyl nickel is in glacial acetic acid is irradiated with ultraviolet light, then this can be converted to dinuclear metal carbonyls. See here, pentacarbonyl nickel iron, when it is in the presence of acetic acid, and when the light is passed, ultraviolet UV light is passed, this can be converted into dinuclear complex, that is this one. Okay, and also we can also in the similar way we can convert this one, that is a pentacarbonyl osmium, by in the presence of glacial acetic acid by passing ultraviolet light. You can also convert this into dicarbonyl complex. Okay, these 2 are the preparation methods. Okay, now in order to see the structural properties of metal carbonyls, first we have to understand the bonding in carbon monoxide molecule. Okay, understood what I said? In order to understand the structural properties of metal carbonyls, first we have to see the bonding in carbon monoxide. First we have to learn the molecular orbitals of carbon monoxide molecule. I hope you already know how to write the molecular orbitals of molecules. You have already learned in your first year. You have a chapter on molecular orbitals, molecular orbital theory. Okay, so you also know how to fill the electrons in the given molecular orbitals in their increasing order of their energies. For example, see here, this is a molecular orbital diagram of carbon monoxide. Here we have shown only the outermost electrons here. These are the atomic orbitals of oxygen. Outermost atomic orbitals of oxygen, what are those? 2s2, 2p2, 2s2, 2p4. Okay, 2s2, 2p4, 2p4. And these are the atomic orbitals of carbon, 2s2, 2p2, 2s2, 2p2. See, only 2 p orbitals are filled here. So now, while writing, the order of energy of the molecular orbitals is like this: sigma bonding, then pi orbitals are there, then again sigma, then pi orbitals, then sigma. Here, let us see here. Sigma s bonding. So sigma s bonding, how many two electrons can accommodate here in sigma? Okay. So total how many electrons are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have to accommodate these 10 electrons in this energy order molecular orbitals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if you carefully, you already know this. I'm not going into detail how to write this because you have already learned this. You know already how to write this. You can take a paper and you can practice now. Just write it down on a paper. Okay. After writing down, then you can start again. You can listen to my class again. So if you carefully observe these molecular orbitals and of this and a combination of 10 electrons of carbon monoxide in these molecular orbitals, if you can carefully observe this part here, see, can you see my cursor here? See this. What is the highest occupied molecular orbital? Listen to my words carefully. Highest occupied molecular orbital means which one is the highest occupied molecular? Sigma s star. See here, sigma s star. Are there any electrons here in the pi star? No, this is only the highest among all these molecular orbitals. This is the orbital which is having electrons, and this is the highest occupied when we compare to this. Okay. So, is there any orbital which is having electrons above this? No. Okay. There is no orbital which is having electrons above this orbital. Therefore, this is the highest occupied. Now, you also have to know what is the lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. Listen carefully. Lowest unoccupied molecular orbitals. Which is unoccupied orbital here? There are two orbitals here. What are those two orbitals? Okay, these two pi orbitals are unoccupied. And are they highest or lowest? Highest or lowest? Are there any unoccupied molecular? There are many unoccupied orbitals here. We have shown only sigma here. See, among these unoccupied molecular orbitals, these pi are lowest in energy. Therefore, they we call them as lowest unoccupied molecular orbitals or pi star orbitals. Whereas, among all these filled molecular orbitals filled with electrons, which one is the highest molecular, highest in energy? I am talking in terms of energy. Which is highest occupied molecular orbital? Sigma s. So sigma star s, sigma s is the highest occupied molecular orbitals, and the lowest unoccupied molecular orbitals which are vacant are pi. Okay, so this is filled and these are vacant. This you have to remember. Only when you remember this, you can understand the structural properties of metal carbonyls. Okay, now let us see. So if you write the molecular orbital electronic configuration, we have to write this, and this we have seen in the molecular orbital diagram. This is the highest occupied molecular orbital. We call it as HOMO. HOMO means highest occupied molecular orbital. And what is LUMO here? LUMO means lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. What is LUMO here? Pi. Pi orbitals are LUMO. And sigma orbital is HOMO. Sigma orbital is having lone pair of electron, while pi orbital is vacant. Sigma orbital is having lone pair of electron, while pi orbital is vacant. There are no electrons here. It is empty. Okay. So what happens? In metal carbonyls, we see two types of bonding. One is sigma bonding, other one is pi bonding. But sigma bonding means there should be a lone pair of electron to form a sigma bond. Sigma bond or coordinate covalent bond, we also call it as a dative bond. That bond is formed, what I said, but a ligand should have a lone pair of electron to form a bond with metal. Is it having lone pair of electron? This is a molecular orbital configuration of carbon monoxide. Is carbon monoxide having lone pair of electron? Yes. Where? In sigma star s orbital, it is having a lone pair of electron. So what happens is, this carbon monoxide, this donates this lone pair of electrons here to the metal atom and forms a sigma bond. This bond is donating a lone pair of electron that is present in sigma star s to the metal. Where it will donate? In order to accept these electrons, metal should have vacant orbitals. Metal should have vacant orbitals. And we all know in transition elements, that is scandium, titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel, zinc, do we have vacant orbitals? Yes, we have vacant d orbitals. That's why most of the transition elements are having vacant d orbitals. That's why they only form such type of compounds, because they have to accept a lone pair of electrons from this ligand, that is carbonyl. So by accepting lone pair of electrons from carbonyl, they form a sigma bond. And one more type of bond is also possible in metal carbonyls, that is a pi bond. We all know only one sigma bond is possible in any molecule, and the other bonds will be pi bonds only. So one sigma bond is formed here. What is a pi bond here? So what makes here, when a carbonyl donates a pair of electrons to this metal, the electron density on metal increases. Okay, electron density in the d orbital increases. Due to this increased electron density, there will be few electron repulsions. Okay, there will be few electron repulsions. In order to avoid such electron repulsions, or in order to reduce the electron density on the central metal atom, what this metal do? We all know all these metals will be having vacant d orbitals as well as filled d orbitals. Vacant and few not all d orbitals are vacant. Only few orbitals are vacant, and few will be having filled electrons also. What they will do is, they will donate those filled d orbital electrons into the pi star orbitals of the carbonyl. We know that carbonyl is having, this is the lowest unoccupied orbital. So what they will do, this metal, they donate electrons which are present in the d orbital, okay, to the pi orbital. So this reduces the electron repulsion on the metal. Okay, therefore one sigma bond is already there. So what is the type of bonding now? It will be a pi bond. See here, this is from CO to M. Now this is from metal to CO. This is pi bond, this is sigma bond. CO is donating to the empty d orbitals, and metal will be having, already it will be having few electrons in d orbital, that already which are existing in d orbital, that it will donate to the carbon monoxide. Okay, in this way, metal carbonyl bond is having, it's mostly a dual bond, that is a sigma bond, and also there is a pi bond is here. Pi bond is also there. Okay, understood. The nature of MCO bonding in mononuclear carbonyls can be understood by considering the formation of day 2 sigma bond and pi bond due to back donation. Day 2 sigma bond. Sigma bond is also, sigma bond is a coordinate bond, or we can also call it as a day 2 bond. And the pi bond is due to back donation of electrons from metal. Okay. This is again explained here. The nature of MCO bonding in mononuclear carbonyls can be understood by considering the formation of a day 2 bond and pi bond due to back donation. So if we have already seen that in this carbonyl, from where it is donating electron? Sigma. Remember, sigma. Where it is accepting? Pi. Okay. Since sigma is a orbital which is donating electron, it is a poor 2 electron donator, because the electrons are donated from sigma orbital. That's why, and we know that sigma orbital is a more stronger orbital than pi orbital. Therefore, it is a poor 2 electron sigma donor, but very strong acceptor. Where it is accepting? In pi. Okay, that is lower in edge. So it is donating from sigma star, sigma donor, but very good acceptor. Now CEO is a pi acid ligand because it has vacant pi star orbital so as to accommodate electron density from the metal in order to form pi bond between metal and ligand. Okay, MCO pi bond. With this we have already discussed. CO ligand, that is carbon monoxide ligand, it will bind tightly to the central metal atom using a synergistic mechanism. A synergistic mechanism is that involve formation of both sigma bond and also back bonding. Sigma bond and also back pi bonding. Okay, that involves sigma donation of ligand lone pair to metal and followed by the back donation from a filled d orbitals to a vacant sigma orbitals of carbonyl or carbon monoxide. This is known as a synergistic mechanism. Okay, lone pair of electrons are available both on carbon and atom, okay, of carbon monoxide, but the carbon atom donates electrons to the metal. Okay, not oxygen. Carbon atom will donate the electron pair to the metal, forming MCO bond. When we write this MCO bond, we will write this M bonded directly to carbon, not like this MOC, because since carbon is giving, we have to write that, we have to show bond between M and C, not OM and O. This is because the p orbitals of carbon atoms are much more closer than p orbitals of oxygen atom. Okay. Now let us see the with few diagrams here. This is a sigma donor. Okay, sigma bond is like this. Okay, here the filled sigma orbital of carbonyl, this is carbon monoxide. From the filled sigma orbital of carbonyl, it is giving electrons to the empty d or p orbitals of metal. So when these donates electron pair to the metal, this increases the electron rich. This becomes electron rich, increases the electron concentration here. Electron density increases. So in order to decrease the electron density, again this metal from its filled d orbital, it will donate these electrons from its filled d orbital to the pi empty pi star orbitals of empty orbitals of carbonyl. That is known as, this is a pi bonding here, this is a sigma bonding here. Okay, therefore this is a pi back bond. Okay, pi back bond here. So what stabilizes CO complexes is here back bonding. Okay, the most important stabilization factor is the pi back donation or pi back bonding. The lower the formal charge on the metal ion, the more willing it is to donate electrons to the pi orbitals of CO. Thus, metal ions with higher formal charges like iron form CO complexes with much greater difficulty than do zero vacant metal ions. Like, for example, chromium and nickel, they are having zero charge. Therefore, they form metal carbonyls very easily than compared to the metal atoms which are having charge. Like iron is having +2 charge here, vanadium is having -1 charge here. Okay. See here again. See, this is see here, this is carbonyl is rotating lone pair of electrons to metal, forming a sigma bond from filled sigma orbital to p or d orbital. This is known as dative bond. Okay, this is another back bonding from the filled d orbitals. It is forming a pi bond with the empty pi star orbital of carbonyl. Okay, this is known as back donation of pi back. Okay, this is pi bond by back donation. In a clear picture, you can see here. This is sigma bond here. Okay, the pi bond. Okay, this is sigma bond donation from, this should be sigma not pi here. Donation from sigma orbital to empty d orbital here. This is from empty filled d orbitals to empty pi star orbitals of carbon. Okay. Okay, students, we'll stop here. Thank you so much for listening to my class. In the next class, we will be discussing about bridging carbonyls, okay, and types of carbonyl bonds that will be formed by metal atoms, that is bridging and the terminal. We'll be discussing in the next class. And this is for today's class. And I want you to practice, and I want you to write down the CO structure as well as the CO molecular orbital diagram. Okay, CO molecular orbital diagram. And also I want you to write the electronic configurations. I want you to learn CO molecular orbital diagram and also electronic configurations of all 3D transition elements, 3D series elements. Okay, thank you for today. This is for today. Thank you all.